everybody. We're going to begin here with music a la carte today. It's Friday, it's 12 o'clock, it's time to go. Thank you everybody so much for being here in the crowd, whether on purpose or inadvertently. Also, thank you very much to the people joining us via live stream. We really appreciate you being here. Welcome. My name is Luke. I'm a student at Oregon State, and I'm also an intern with College of Liberal Arts Marketing and Communications Department. And it's just my pleasure to be able to have the chance to introduce the performers every Friday. So one last time, thank you so much for being here. On behalf of the College of Liberal Arts, we would like to thank the School of Visual Design and Performing Arts, the OSU Music Program, and the MU with funding from the Student Fee Committee. Again, thanks everybody for their support from all these various departments. Okay, so today we have something for you that is a bit atypical compared to the performances that we usually host at Music a la carte, in that it is a bit more on the theatrical side of things. I'm not going to give too much away, so please allow me to introduce the Director of Music, Performing, and Visual Arts at Umpqua Community College, Dr. Jason Heald.
Thank you, Luke, and it's truly our privilege to be here today. And back in 2019, I was approached by the League of Women Voters and they wanted to commission a work commemorating the 100-year anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. And so as I thought about it and looking for some subject matter, thought of a story about Abigail Scott Duniway, who was the mother of women's suffrage here in the Northwest, and her brother Harvey Scott, who was the editor of the Oregonian, who ended up being on opposite sides of this issue. So I thought that this would make a great subject matter for a musical drama of some sort. And just as we were thinking about putting it together, the pandemic hit. So what you're going to see is a production that was written during the pandemic for two performers that could be socially distanced during the performance, and one that would be camera friendly, and that would commemorate this very, very important part of US history. And since then, in many ways, the topics and issues that are presented in this have become even more topical and more current, with a lot of current events. Today's cast, you will see, will feature Dr. Kevin Helppie, who is the voice instructor, voice faculty here at Oregon State University, along with two of my colleagues at Umpqua Community College, Donna Spicer, who will be in the role of Abigail Scott Duniway, and their accompanist, Debra Gaddis, both of who are on faculty at Umpqua Community College. So enjoy today's performance of Frontier Family Feud.
Say third time's a charm. If only we could have been so lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. Perseverance was the key to our success. After 5 failed attempts, equal suffrage in Oregon became law, and women won the right to vote in an historic referendum in 1912. It was a heady time. Women were taking to the streets, making inspiring speeches, even being thrown into jail, simply for asking for the same rights that men take for granted. And I, Abigail Scott Duniway, was right in the middle of the whole kit and caboodle, asking the important questions. Are you willing to stand for what you believe? Can you lend us a hand and roll up your sleeve? When together we band, there's so much we can achieve today. Are you willing to fight injustice that's wrong and speak out for what's right when opposition is strong? The truth will ignite a light that will guide us along the way. History reminds us that no future's set in stone. Chains of mail confine us, and we must break them on our own.
I was born to be a newspaper man. The printed word was my domain. As a speaker, I might not have been as eloquent as some, but as a writer, I was second to none. And at the turn of the 20th century, no editor in the Northwest was more feared or respected than me. The name Harvey Scott is synonymous with learned integrity, to be trusted and valued. My opinions matter. I am willing to stand for what I believe and meet any demand with my bravery. And when I'm in command, there's so much I can achieve today. I am willing to fight an injustice that's wrong, and I know what is right when opposition is strong. The truth will ignite a light that will guide you along the way. History reminds us that no future's cast in stone.
Chains of mail confine us, and we must break that on our own. Letter by letter, speech by speech, every town hall and meeting until we reach our goal of equality for all. Yes, I'm willing to stand for what I believe. Yes, I'll lend you a hand and roll up my sleeve. When together
I will make you see what you can achieve today.
Yes, I'm willing to fight injustice that's wrong and speak out for what's right when opposition is strong. The truth will be your light that will guide you along the way. Are you willing to stand?
Are you willing to stand? Are you willing to stand with me?
I was born in Tazewell County, Illinois in 1834, the third of 12 children. When I was 17 years old, my family packed up all of our earthly belongings to head west on the Oregon Trail. My father's decision to journey west came as a complete surprise to the entire family, especially my mother, who was silently opposed to the move. My father asked me to keep a journal of our trek to the Northwest. Oh, I had never seen such wondrous sights, about which I wrote in lavish detail. But in the midst of such beauty lay tragedy, where sorrow and death lurked around every bend. 12 children did my mother bear in Groveland, Illinois. Her life was never easy there in Groveland, Illinois. Adventure called my father west to seek his fortune with the rest, and mother had to leave her nest in Groveland, Illinois. So sick and weakened from the start, by River Platte she did depart. She left her life, her home, her heart in Groveland, Illinois. She held her newborn girl, perfect as any pearl. She closed her eyes as she sighed, then she said, "A woman's lot is hard, treated without regard." She knew that heartache and pain lay ahead. She never smiled. She never smiled. Becoming a wife meant spending your life under the thumbs of men. Nothing new or strange. No path she could take or choice she could make, just as it's always been. Nothing new, nothing will change. No chance to dream or play, just endless chores all day. No conversation with sisters or friends. The garden she must tend, more clothes to wash and mend. No conversation when work never ends. She never smiled. She never smiled. I followed in my mother's footsteps and was married by the age of 19 and would go on to have 6 children. Young daughters mature and won't be secure until a man they find. Nothing new or strange. There's really no choice. They're given no voice with which to speak their minds. Nothing new, nothing will change. My mother's fate was sealed. No power did she wield to dodge the dark days when pleasures were few. Our children's world could be one of equality, and girls might find joy my mother never knew. She never smiled. She never smiled. She never smiled.
14, the perfect age for the adventure of a lifetime. In 1852, my family set out on the Oregon Trail from a sleepy rural town outside Peoria. That's when my life really began. Soon after arriving in Oregon at age 17, I served in the local militia for 2 years, serving in the Yakima War and bravely distinguishing myself. After quelling the Indian uprising, I spent time as a logger, surveyor, and even a gold miner in Idaho. In my wildest dreams, I could never have imagined such bold enterprises while in the wheat fields of Illinois. It's a great time to be a man in the Oregon Territory. Here you can bet your whole new plan and write your own heroic story. Quench your desire to build an empire, accept all acclamation, groom a solid reputation that any saint would admire. We survive on our wits and on our loyalty, where ragged misfits can rise to royalty, a pioneer fraternity, brothers till eternity comes to call. It's a great time to grow up in the Oregon Territory. Grow a big dog from a pup and climb the highest promontory, where rugged and rough, where just being tough will never win the day. You need brains to carve the way when brawn is not quite enough. Here's a land filled with endless opportunity. Reap riches and wealth with complete impunity. Say goodbye to the Midwest. Say hello to the very best place I know. It's a great time to be a man. Test your mettle, be all you can. It's a great time to be a man in the Oregon Territory.
By the age of 24, I had developed an active interest in the women's movement. Between all my tasks as a young mother and housewife, I began writing letters to the editor of the Oregon City Argus, advocating for equality of the sexes. I also wrote my first novel, Captain Gray's Company, one of the first books written about life on the Oregon Trail. But in all my writing, I could not help but highlight the horrid conditions faced by women in our American society. In 1862, my husband Ben was injured in an accident and could no longer work. And at 28 years of age, I became the family's primary breadwinner. Although I had little formal education, I loved to write. And in 1871, I began publishing a weekly newspaper, the New Northwest. Of course, if I had been a man like my brother Harvey, I would have already been an editor in an established newspaper and receiving a handsome salary. But the New Northwest was more than a source of income for my family. It was an outlet for my writing, which ranged from editorial columns to serial novels.
When the Yakima War came to an end, I joined my family in Forest Grove and enrolled at Pacific University, graduating at the head of my class. Of course, being in a graduating class of one, that might not have been my grandest achievement. Still, I was their first alumnus, a distinguished man of letters. I also served as Portland's first librarian. In 1865, I was offered a job at the Oregonian, Portland's largest newspaper, and by 1866 had become its editor. I'd found my call, fulfilling my love of language and my love of debate. Words can soothe or surprise, a tool for both wise and unwitty. Words can make a page cry or paint what the eye cannot see. Words can rouse congregations to loud jubilations that rise to the top of the steeple. It's not just a novel invention. Words can sow peace or contention. Some men speak with lofty pretension, while some others speak with humility. It's the universal utility of language.
Words express sorrow or grief and bring blessed relief to the stricken. Words weave yarns of suspense that grow ever more tense as plots thicken. Words can tell a tall tale in such vivid detail and description. Words give great information from current sensation to life as an ancient Egyptian.
When pen meets the parchment, a new chapter is started, and the thoughts remain permanently, long after the author has departed.
Words express sorrow or grief and bring blessed relief to the stricken.
Words, obscure or reveal, can injure or heal the offended. Words speak falsehoods or truth through the sage or uncouth or the quarrelsome. Words can shape a new nation, inspire populations to fight for their right to freedom, freedom, freedom.
For all the movement's talk about uniting for a cause, its leadership was fractured in almost every conceivable way. The greatest of these ideological schisms was over prohibition. Many in the movement wanted to tie equal suffrage to the temperance movement. Well, to this I strenuously objected. Well, let's face it, men love their liquor, and the liquor industry loves its money. Moreover, since men are going to be the ones voting on the referendum, we need to curry their favor, not incur their wrath. Well, to me, this was just common sense. My life was changed in 1871 when I saw Susan B. Anthony speak at the Washington Territorial Legislature. By the time the equal suffrage referendum went to the polls for the first time in 1884, Susan and I had become lifelong friends and comrades in arms, having traveled over 2,400 miles of muddy frontier roads together. However, like those muddy frontier roads and the road to women's suffrage, my relationship with Susan could be just as bumpy. If there's a woman that can be half as stubborn as me, it would have to be Susan B. Anthony. Everybody likes to have their own way. They say it's human nature to press your own cause. The law just a push and shove. I prefer a kid glove. With persistence and love, the fight will be won. If there's a woman that can be half as stubborn as me, it would have to be Susan B. Anthony. I'm an intransigent old fool from the school of hard knocks. She's a hard-headed mule who kicks when she talks. As a team, we seem a formidable pair as we dare to demand our share of the ballot box. But she wants a confrontation, I want cooperation. In desire and dedication, we both hold fast. There's a woman that can be half as stubborn as me. It would have to be Susan B. Anthony. We are sisters, competitors, liberators and mentors to thousands of women nationwide. We're forging a future for females and marching side by side. We pursue a common goal at the poll to cast our own vote. To quote the founding father, Mr. Jefferson, when he wrote the words with his pen that all men are created equal. As an American, any woman deserves all rights reserved and restored in full. There's a woman that can be half as stubborn as me. It would have to be Susan B. Anthony. It was often challenging dealing with Susan. However, those difficulties were small potatoes compared to dealing with my brother Harvey. Well, that pompous windbag had become editor of Oregon's largest newspaper, the Oregonian.
Being the editor of Oregon's largest newspaper gave me a powerful platform to influence public policy, and it was only natural that people would look to me for leadership. With my photographic memory and upstanding moral character, who better to guide the good people of our fledgling state? After all, who else could memorize all 12 books of Paradise Lost? But being an editor makes you take a stand on all the major issues of the day and be prepared to back up your opinions not only with your words, but sometimes with your fists or more. On one occasion, the mealy-mouthed editor of the Portland Bulletin, Jimmy O'Meara, and I came to blows after the election of 1866, and he drew a gun. In true frontier fashion, I relieved him of his weapon and gave him a drubbing he would never forget. However, I learned that one could never be too careful, and I often carried one myself for extra security.
As I said, men need to be coaxed. Men need to be coaxed. They will not be driven. We require their vote to achieve success. If we're to have any hope, they're the ones to impress. Though they hold the power, we will never cower. It's our finest hour. We're armed with charm, the weapon women were given. Men need to be coaxed. They will not be driven. A dose of good humor and gentle persuasion will get good results on almost any occasion. Never be too blunt, try not to confront, spectacle and stunt, offend the men for which we will not be forgiven. Their delicate egos need a good stroking. To harangue and harass is only provoking. A petty pretense to pick a fight and quashing their quarrelsome nature will carry us closer to having the legal right to choose. Win or lose, we'll flex our collective need to be coaxed. They will not be driven. The carrot's worth more than the stick. It's the tactic to pick when we're right in the thick of a contest uneven. Never say we're whipped, we're still well equipped from the tail to tip to fight to right the world we women must live in. Men need to be coaxed. They will not be driven, driven, driven. By 1890, for reasons I could never explain, Harvey had begun to cool on the idea of women having the right to vote. Early on, he'd been a vocal champion of our cause. But by 1899, he and his newspaper had declared all-out war on the movement. His contempt for our cause dripped from every word he uttered.
Abigail's obsession with the voting rights referendum impacted all parts of her life, and her radical political beliefs were part of every social interaction or gathering. Even more annoying than that was her willingness to challenge those who were clearly better equipped to make decisions about government. Here she is, a woman with little education, thinking she could tell experienced college-educated men how to run the affairs of the state. Reminding Abigail of her place in the women's sphere was more than brotherly advice. It was my civic duty.
Oh, it was intolerable. It was made for some very interesting family reunions.
It's the 1st of February, turn of the century. I'm another day older and another day's past. I feel contentment and I know it won't last. Peace and contentment and I know I can't do whatever I have to do because of you. The barely happened now and I know what's coming next. I usher her in, her demeanor is grim. Let the fireworks begin. A glass of wine, dear Abigail, do you want white or red?
Read your editorial last night. What shameful things
You said red, well I've a bottle just for you. Shipped in from France, a vintage 1892.
To rattle on and on about the equal suffrage movement. Your logic needs improvement, and your timing shows bad
Taste
taste.
its oaken flavor and its rich bouquet. As fine a wine as can be had in Portland
Today
today.
you act so innocent, a face of false contrition, and yet your paper prints its opposition to change.
The greatest government the world has known. To appease your poisoned petticoats, I cannot condone. A birthday or holiday or family festivity, any gay occasion or cause for celebration is an open invitation for hostility
At the Scots.
Women have improved their lot, their rights have been expanding. Why should men consider caving in to all that you
Demanding
demand?
a voice in government is reasonable and merited. The gravy looks quite good, but would look better on your head.
Headed to the hot springs for some rest and relaxation, to recover from your insufferable non-stop
A
recrimination.
nation needs to recognize a woman's right to vote.
My vote is to take the nearest dinner roll and ram it down your
You throw
throat.
your childish tantrums, both undignified or insane.
I'll let you choose your favorite dressing for your salad of a
A
brain.
brain is made to make a choice. I can make mine same as you.
I'll let you pick your favorite dressing for the pasta or ragu. A birthday or holiday or family festivity. Remove all sharp utensils from carving knives to pencils. It's a lesson in uncivil sibling antipathy at the Scots. Victory. Defeating the equal suffrage referendum in 1900 was one of my crowning achievements. And handing Abigail her own head on a platter gave me particular pleasure.
Losing the election of 1900 was shattering. We were so close. But it galvanized my determination to press forward and not give up. We are not whipped. We are stronger than ever. We may have slipped, but the tyrants can never dissolve our resolve. We will evolve into a movement that will spread the world around. Can't you hear the sound of our voices growing, showing that united as one with a bond they cannot sever? We are not whipped, we are stronger than ever.
I showed them a thing or two. This should keep them in their place. The devils finally got their due. I sent them packing in disgrace. No more inciting discontent, mocking our sacred government. We'll give those malcontents the what for, and show the suffragists to the door. I showed them a thing or two. This should keep them in their place. The devils finally got their due. I sent them packing in disgrace. No more inciting discontent, mocking our sacred government. We'll give those malcontents the what for, and show the suffragists to the door.
Showing that united as
No
one
more,
with a bond they cannot
no
sever.
more.
We are not whipped.
I am stronger than ever.
Defeated, but not beaten. We pressed on. But for all of our hard work and enthusiasm, we suffered another stunning defeat in 1906 by an even greater margin than the election of 1900. It seemed we were moving backward instead of forward, and the dream of equal suffrage that much further from our reach.
I savored my victory in 1900, but my satisfaction was short-lived. I ran for the U.S. Senate in 1903, and with my well-established qualifications, I was the clear frontrunner. Despite my unimpeachable reputation, my bid was unsuccessful, and my great opportunity for the national stage would be denied. For all my achievements, in retrospect, many seem petty and insignificant, with fame and public esteem as fleeting as a summer breeze.
As for my brother, whom I hate with a perfect and justifiable hatred, there is a chasm that will never be bridged without signs of his repentance. It gave me great pleasure indeed to see Harvey defeated in the race for the United States Senate seat in 1903. But for all of our high-minded ideals for which we fought so bitterly, what would we leave behind when our small lives were over? What will my grandchildren think? Will my trials and labors soon all be for naught? Just a
life's work be gone in a blink. What will my grandchildren think?
What will my grandchildren think? The sixth time was a charm, and women won the right to vote at long last in Oregon in 1912, 6 years after Idaho and 2 years after Washington. Oh, I had the great honor of signing the Equal Suffrage Proclamation, and I was the first woman to vote in an election in Oregon in 1914. Harvey did not live to see his skullduggery of 1900 undone, nor his beloved Oregonians' endorsement of the referendum 12 years later. Harvey passed away in 1910, 2 years before the referendum's success at the polls. I'll always wonder if he would have supported women's suffrage had I not been his sister.
The Western states would pave the way for the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, stating the rights of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on the account of sex.
As citizens of the United States, it's our civic duty to ensure that all Americans have access to the polls and are represented in democratic society. To that end, we must be united in protecting our rights and unwavering in protecting the rights of our fellow citizens.
We are not whipped, we are stronger than ever. The balance has tipped, and the tyrants can never dissolve our resolve. We have evolved into a movement that will spread the world around. Can't you hear the sound of our voices growing, showing that united as one, with a bond we cannot sever. We are not whipped, we are strong.